right, here's our roundtable speakers. This morning, Sadie Anderson is the Vice President of Marketing Design at CKF in Omaha, Nebraska. She is responsible for leading the marketing and design teams as well as creating innovative showrooms and experiences for customers. In her previous roles with CKF, she has served as a designer, design operations manager, and director of sales operations, where she streamlined processes and spearheaded digital innovations. Welcome, Sadie. Come on up. Merci. We have Tara PROSKIW. Tara PROSKIW is the owner and principal of a thriving full-service cabinetry and renovation company in Edmonton, Alberta. Though she came to entrepreneurship relatively recently, she has a strong history of leadership. Tara's passion for processes and problem-solving supports her employees to deliver excellent customer service. She is also an active Rotarian and a volunteer in the local communities. Welcome, Tara. Introducing Benjamin Ouellette, a designer at Casey's Kitchen in Ontario, renowned for his holistic approach to enhancing clients' lifestyles for over 20 years. As an expert in interior design, he's spoken at industry shows, has been featured in publications, and has advocated for top trends in kitchen, bath, and interior design worldwide. Benjamin specializes in psychological design, crafting spaces that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also promote happiness, health, and safety for all the senses. Come on up, Benjamin. And we have Nicole Jenkins. Nicole Jenkins is a kitchen designer at the Right Kitchen in Burlington, Ontario, with 12 years of kitchen and bath design experience. She has an innate talent for identifying her client's style and needs to create a design unique to each client and home. Her attention to detail and ability to listen, combined with the experience and knowledge she shares, creates a feeling of trust and confidence with each client. Despite some spaces having their challenges, some budgets requiring creativity, and some clients having unique requirements, she believes that with good design, there is always a solution. Welcome. Come on up, Nicole. All right, being a production manager, I can see we have 26 minutes and 50 seconds. We have 10 questions, so our tack time is about 2.7 minutes per answer. So, okay. No worries. And I have the microphone, so we can go longer if we want. Right. All right. First question today. Benjamin, share your experience and strategies for the sales process that reflects your style and engages clients from the beginning. How do you make a client's journey memorable?
Okay. So when I'm dealing with the client, it can be, intimidating to walk into a design showroom, as beautiful as all our design showrooms, dealing with a designer maybe for the first time on a project that's very complex and very confusing. And so what I do is I like to take the pressure off right away, and I kind of explain to them that it's this is an exercise. The questions I'm asking you, we're not making final decisions today, especially for the first time that we're meeting. We're playing around with colors, we're pulling countertops and cabinets and things. And so to kind of allow them to realize that they're not in control of, or someone else is in control and someone else is responsible for figuring out the end result, makes them relax a little bit more. It helps them to, open up a little bit more because, I'm sure we've all had clients in the past that have been very guarded and, kind of buttoned up and not willing to trust. But as soon as you start kind of breaking down those barriers, you're able to make them a little bit more soft, a little bit more comfortable, and then you're able to get under the skin of them to be able to, essentially help them in the end create a better, more functional space.
Oh, thank you. Very good. Tara, as an owner, how important is consistency throughout your team? Do you have an outline structure for the sales process for every designer?
Yes and no. I have learned that trying to compartmentalize designers is almost creating a volcanic eruption. So I really embrace the different personalities of each designer and their strengths And then we've built best practices that are non-negotiables from the company standpoint. So when you greet your clients in the showroom, it's like a warm hug and a coffee and a creating the warmth because they are so guarded, but they have their creative license to do everything. I also will walk the showroom and introduce myself to everybody coming in the showroom and open the dialogue for feedback, good, not so good, just in general. And then everybody knows that there's accountability there.
Oh, yeah, that's a working strategy. Next question is for Nicole. Setting the right expectations is key to a successful project. How do you manage and align client expectations from the initial consultation? Share strategies for effective communication and ensuring a clear understanding of the design process and timeline.
I think setting expectations in terms of budget and timeline early on is mandatory for any meeting. Most clients will see an episode of HGTV and see a full kitchen renovation done in 30 minutes, so they might not have an idea of all that goes into it. I think with the experience that I have, I'm able to lay out week to week what a client can expect moving through the design process. If I have one of those clients that I can tell is going to be indecisive, I usually put placeholders in place, like, let's have your appliances finalized by X. We should pick door styles and colors by Y, just to keep things moving. I think clients don't know what they don't know. So just explaining everything that goes into the design phase to make sure that everything's going to run smoothly during the renovation stage, I think that's paramount.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Sadie. In a world where people often compare prices, let's talk about retainers and payment schedules. What initial services do you offer for free, if any? What types of fees and services do you offer? And what is the payment schedule that you have in place?
Oh, I'm so glad I got this question. We talk about this endlessly at work. Do we charge for a design? Do we not charge for design? And the answer is always, well, I don't know. It depends. So at our company, we're about 90% professional customers, so remodelers and builders. And the thought process with those is we don't charge for design for any of those customers. They're repeat customers. Most of the time, we know we're going to sell the job. So we don't charge any design fees for any of that. Now, retail customers, we will usually just give them a blank floor plan for free so they can see kind of the outlines of the cabinets and where things are going to go. And then if we want to go any further, then kind of depending on the amount of work that goes into it, we will charge a design fee that could range from $250 to $500. Like you so rightly said, trying to compartmentalize designers is a volcanic eruption. So they all kind of have their own little processes for dealing with their customers and working with them how they want to. And then as far as our payment structure goes, anybody who is COD, they pay 50% before we order anything. And then if they have a terms account with us, that's just a net 10 account.
50% before they order anything?
50% before we order anything if we don't know you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think the first time I went to get a kitchen and they did the design and they wouldn't give me the design papers until I paid something. And I was surprised by that. But then after you've been in the business for a long time, you see, oh yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
The other thing we did, which has helped a lot, is we collect the balance before we install or deliver anything as well. We got burned on that too many times. And so we changed our process probably about 8 years ago. So now we collect everything up front before we deliver or install anything.
That's something that we could all learn from, right? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Nicole, what are some of the innovative ways you've seen technology integrated into the kitchen and bath designs, and how do you envision its role evolving in the future?
I think technology plays a huge part in not just the kitchens and bathrooms, but how they're presented during the design phase. From when we used to sell kitchens based on a hand-drawn floor plan to being able to produce 3D renderings, it's just helping the clients visualize it. I still have a lot of clients that even struggle with 3D rendering. So even at trade shows, I've seen great technology where you have, a virtual reality walkthrough, or the kitchen is projected into a space and they can walk through that. So I think it's just making it a lot easier for the average client to understand design as well. I think inside the cabinets, technology is making cabinets obviously more accessible, increasing visibility with items like integrated lighting or items like servo drive. Even Wi-Fi enabled appliances or shower systems, people can get things going when they're pressed for time, or they can check in for safety when they're not in. So I think those are features that clients are loving. I think technology will continue to enhance our capabilities, not necessarily replace us. And I think that it's going to create a better experience for the client, giving them a more convenient, more efficient, and more personalized space. And I know technology, it's hard not to mention AI, but like I said, I think what we do as designers isn't so easily replaced.
Yeah, very good. Do you see AI having any effect on the kitchen design, Harley?
Yes and no. I mean, I've seen some beautiful spaces. I think it'll be great for inspiration, but a lot of the AI kitchens I've seen generated have 3 dishwashers and 1 range and no fridge. So there's certain things that it might not pick up on the nuances of, or, as they were saying too, it's relating to every client. Every space is unique. Meeting with the client and figuring out what their needs are. I don't know if AI can spit out a design and then get it ordered and installed, because the design isn't always the hardest part. It's everything that comes after that.
It's a science and an art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on incorporating design elements for aging in place and accessibility in your projects? What have been your challenges, and do you have any tips on how to handle them?
So, yes. So in my experience, especially as of late, I've had a lot of clients who probably should be considering making the decisions in their home that Lucy had mentioned earlier. They should be doing it because they should be thinking about that. But I feel like there's a lot of pushback to that because people are not willing to accept the fact that they're aging, accept the fact that in 10 years from now, they may have an issue with, being able to see where the knives are and things like that. And so it's a really cautious journey as a designer, especially as someone who's a younger designer, to kind of talk to your clients about aging in place without coming off as offensive, right? So there is a dignified way of doing it. There's and it's about trying to find that dignity in the space. So I was actually with Lucy at Bloom doing the Canada's first round of the CLIP certification, which is this Certified Living in Place professional program. And the difference between this and CAPS, for example, is CAPS is really specific towards aging in place, which is incredibly important. And I think if that's something that you would like to specialize in, I would recommend getting involved with that. The CLIP was a certification that really focused on safety for everyone in the family. So whoever you are, no matter what your physical or cognitive limitations are, we're creating safe spaces. And so one of the main things that I found when I was doing the CLIP certification, because as designers, when we're doing a project, we're hammering in on those details that we've designed for them, because we want them to understand why this is here and why that is there. Like that's a part of our selling technique, right? Where with the CLIP certification, because we don't want to offend people, you do kind of have to, or at least what we've found in the CLIP certification was that the things that you do to make spaces more safe are the things that you just naturally do, and they may not know right away, but 10 years down the road, when they don't slip in their shower and when they don't have a dizzy spell somewhere because you've created a horizontal line for stability, there's a lot of things that we can do to a space without having to sell it to them. So what I do when I'm dealing with someone who may be a little bit on the older side, I will, as soon as they mention anything regarding that, I will say, just so you know, I have my CLIP certification, so I'm able to create safe spaces for anyone, no matter the cognitive or physical limitations. And that's it. Now they know we've created some trust. We've created some they can understand that I'm going to work behind the scenes and come up with some great ways to make their spaces more safe. So I've found that to be very valuable in my business without even having to specialize in aging in place. It's good to understand kind of safety for all, no matter what our client is. So
very good. Sadie, how do you tailor strategies for different clients and projects?
Well, kind of like I was saying earlier with our fee structure. So depending on the type of customer that we're dealing with, that's kind of the different presentation that we'll give to that customer. So retail customers coming in, like I said, they'll get, we might do like a color perspective and a blank floor plan and things like that. But then we also do take a little more care with them, care to explain the process. And, like we were laughing last night, those customers that are also their contractor, and they don't know the process, and you're kind of having to teach them the process as they go. And that's never fun, right? And that just leads to problems. So those customers, the retail customers, kind of take a different path through our business. They get more touches. They get a little more attention from us. The process is just a little more hands-on. And then our professional customers kind of go on a different track, and their things move a little bit quicker, and they don't get as many touches from our service department or reminders or things like that because they know how the process works. They don't want to be bothered. So yeah, that's how we handle that.
Good. Thank you. Do you ever want to do a personality test with customers when they come in?
Yes.
The DISC program, they have to go through that first?
I don't know if anyone's read the book. It's called Surrounded by Idiots, but I read it just because of the title, but it divides people into 4 different colors. So I highly recommend reading it because it's just kind of a really great way to say, like, okay, you're a green, you hate confrontation and you need to be coddled, or you're a blue, you're super analytical and probably an engineer and you're going to be a pain. Yeah, highly recommend that book.
All those programs to work with each other, right? Yeah. So I'm not with the customer, right? Great. Okay. For Benjamin, another question. Building trust with your clients is imperative. How do you build their trust? How do you understand their needs and make them feel confident in your expertise and services?
So you're building trust with your clients. I think it's important to establish yourself as an expert and a professional, right, from the beginning. So kind of, everyone, I think we all probably have our spiel. My spiel includes me talking about the company I work for. So I'll say, Casey's has been in business for 46 years. I'll talk about, the relationship and the clockwork system that I have set up with my contractor partners to kind of put them at ease and make them feel more trustworthy, that we're not someone that's going to take their 50% deposit and run away. And then you talk about yourself. So I would say, as opposed to saying, I've been in business for 20 years and look at them and wait for applause, you kind of say it in the backwards way. In my 20 years of working in interior design, I blah, 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 right? So there's ways of working in your, talking about yourself as an expert without, bragging or whatever, right? That I think it's important. There are a lot of things you can do to establish yourself as an expert. One of the things, and this is a trade secret that it's been working for over 13 years. It's the silliest little thing, but when I'm going through my customer intro session, my initial consultation, I will say, I'll ask a lot of questions. That's the whole point. We ask a lot of questions, but the one question I ask is, are you left-handed or right-handed? And every single time I ask that, I see the customer kind of go, oh, we weren't asked this at the last place, And so there's just this kind of an immediate like trust or something that just clicks, and they're thinking, okay, I'm dealing with someone who's a professional. I'm dealing with someone who's going to look deeper into this, and it's not just about a white cabinet with a white counter and backsplash. So, yeah, little things like that, I would say.
Does the left hand or right hand come to the design then?
So it does. Lucy put a picture of a kitchen. She talked about the 5 different zones, and where the cooking zone was on the far right side, you can do it in the opposite side for someone who might be left-handed. Or if you're thinking about where to place the dishwasher, if there's an option, turning to the left to empty the dishwasher versus turning to the right may make a big difference for someone who's right-handed. So they're for it. But I think there's just, it's also a really nice way to establish as someone who's thinking beyond, the status quo.
Yeah. Wow. Learning a lot today. Wow. Excellent. Tara, as the owner of 2 design centers, how do you ensure clients trust your designer's services? How do you understand their needs and build confidence in your team's expertise? Additionally, do you believe consistency among your designers and trust between them is essential?
With designers, I found that there was a high sensitivity to, I talked to that person 2 weeks ago and they came in the showroom. So I kind of studied this a little bit and tried to reduce the friction. I actually changed the compensation package to more of a salary-based employment with a commission after their quota was reached. And so it really pushed us into a more collaborative environment versus a competition. And that brought down the stress of the ability to sell to our clients. So when you get rid of that, oh my gosh, I'll be fired if I don't reach my sales quota, there was a softness that came into our team. And then through leadership and coaching through strengths and weaknesses, we've found that we're far more of service providers versus salespeople. My designers would even fight to say they're a designer first before sales. From my perspective, you can design anything, but if you can't sell it, it's somewhat irrelevant. So just trying to create that warmth that I talked about, and then we'll just honestly say, like, for the first few months of the year, they're not commission based, so they'll be like, oh, I'm not commission based. So that's created a ease of communication. And we talk about, we've been in business for 46 years. There really isn't a kitchen that we haven't seen yet. So, we just work with asking the questions, reducing the friction, and it makes it easier.
One other question from the audience. When do you say no to a design your customer wants because of functionality and resale value? So, for example, customer has only 43 inches for stove area. They have a triangle space next to this, which would allow more room for stove area and room for a pantry, but this is something they do not want to change.
So by this time, you've already established yourself as an expert. They trust you. You probably have a great give and take, and you can probably, poke them a little bit and say, if it's a design that I think is absolutely wrong for them, I will be very vocal about it and say, this is as a designer with 20 years experience, this is something I would not recommend you doing for the following reasons. And if they say, well, I really, 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 really want it, and it's not safe, then I'll say, I'd have to talk to the owners to see about something this, because we don't want to create unsafe spaces. And if it means that they have to sign off on it, saying that they're going to be okay with it, despite what my designer has said, unfortunately you have to go down that road. But hopefully you can convince them otherwise. But if they're dead set, they're dead set. And if they're going to be happy at the end by getting, something a little bit tighter, then that's a happy customer. So check mark.
They sign off on it, right? Yeah. Okay, good.
I don't know if I have much to add to that, but I agree. You have to say no sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's a space that they're creating for themselves that they're going to use every day. So if they're willing to sign off on those smaller clearances, someone is going to make the money on that kitchen. Why not me? I do find that some clients, when they first come in and they have a plan and they're like, this is going to be so great, this is my plan, I'll usually do a rendering of that, but then also show them, this is what I would do with the space. And sometimes when they see the other option, they go for that instead, because if you're in a space for 15 years and you've lived with it, you might only see it in one way. So showing them through fresh eyes what could be there, I think sometimes that overrides the having to say no, because then it just gives it a little bit of flexibility. But some clients are stuck in their ways and just want something, and you got to do it. So
yeah, very good. Well, that's all the questions we have from the floor right now. And I think we've used the time very effectively. And I really want to thank you all for answering spontaneously, putting on the spot with questions, some of them along. You did a great job. Let's give them all a round of applause.